Welcome to another edition of Footy Flashbacks, where we take a stroll through Fox Footy's vast archive of historic matches, news stories and features from decades past. This time around, we're winding the clock back to 1986, an age of turmoil and change in VFL football, with half the clubs in the struggling competition at or near bankruptcy and the league facing some of the biggest strategic decisions in its history. The VFL Commission had been formed in 1985, shifting major decision-making power away from clubs and placing it in the hands of an independent authority to act on behalf of the competition as a whole. Former Collingwood fullback Jack Hamilton was appointed as the full-time commissioner, with a team of 4 part-time commissioners to assist him: Graham Samuel, Peter Nixon, Peter Scanlon and Dick Seddon. These 5 men instantly became the most powerful in football. But by the middle of 1986, with the game at the crossroads in so many different areas, Jack Hamilton decided that it was time for the next generation to come through and lead football into its critical new era of commercialisation and national expansion. His decision took the football world by surprise, and the rumour mills immediately went into overdrive as speculation on who would replace him became the hottest question in football. The early favourite was Hamilton's deputy and popular former Richmond administrator Alan Schwab, with fellow lifelong football power broker Ron Joseph as his deputy. But some, including Commissioners Scanlon and Samuel, felt it was time for the game to look outside its own and bring in someone with a more corporate background to handle the myriad of white-collar minefields the game needed to navigate. The name they had in mind was former St Kilda player, Hawthorn director and managing director of Royal Insurance, Ross Oakley. A compromise between the lifelong football insider and the corporate suit was struck, and on August 15, 1986, Ross Oakley was appointed as the new Commission chairman, with Alan Schwab as his deputy.
The board members at this evening's meeting at VFL House were simply going through the motions. They were there to formally approve an appointment Melbourne's football fans had known about for days. So it was no surprise when Ross Oakley and Alan Schwab turned up together. They waited downstairs while the vote was taken, and they met the media half an hour later as joint VFL leaders. The new chairman was very guarded in his comments, but sees mounting club debts as the VFL's main problem. He's confident, though, those debts can be tackled, and he's happy to form a partnership with Alan Schwab.
To step into Jack Hamilton's shoes, even if it's only one of them, is no mean feat.
There's still going to be 2 people here in the key roles, but there's been a different approach to it, which I think has been done very professionally, and I'm very happy about it.
The pair weren't about to reveal their salaries, reported to be about $230,000 between them. Their appointments are open-ended, and they're sure to be around for some time to come.
Ross Oakley's appointment signalled a changing of the guard at the VFL. Not only was he at 43 years of age, some 15 years younger than predecessor Jack Hamilton, but more importantly, he represented a change of direction for football administration that would change the game forever. He was the first football chief to be appointed from outside football's boys' club, a man from the commercial world geared to handle the game's increasingly corporate positioning as the fully professional era closed in. Oakley officially took over the VFL reins a week after the 1986 grand final and inherited a desk covered with pressing and far-reaching issues requiring immediate attention, such as national expansion, club mergers, major sponsorships and the renegotiation of the next round of television rights. Here's how ABC News saw his address to the Melbourne Press Club in September of 1986, after his appointment but prior to his commencement.
Ross Oakley is about to take the reins and is warming to the challenge. Today at the Melbourne Press Club, he flexed some muscle and outlined the Commission's plan for footy. In a speech totally devoid of rhetoric, Ross Oakley, a former St Kilda player and now an ardent Hawthorn supporter, used the Press Club setting to illustrate some of the problems the Commission faces.
What about the beat-up that read, Fitzroy wins, off the hook? What a load of garbage. I mean, how can 2 wins in the finals get you off the hook financially when you're $2 million down the drain?
If, on October the 1st, the VFL club directors don't vote for the entry of West Australian and Brisbane teams and find a solution to Fitzroy's sizable problems, Ross Oakley predicts only gloom for next year.
2 or 3 clubs might not survive through 87. And that is not an emotional beat-up. The decision to be made on the 1st of October will give us some breathing space, but it will not save all the 11 clubs in Victoria.
Emotionalism must give way to good business sense in the present debate. Nowhere else in the world does a city of 3 million people support 11 professional football teams that cost up to $40 million a year to run.
And so Ross Oakley's viewpoint on the hottest issues in football were made crystal clear from the outset. His was a corporate focus as he and the Commission endeavoured to haul the competition back from the edge of financial collapse. History would show that the clubs would ultimately vote for the inclusion of teams from WA and Queensland, and the immediate injection of funds in the form of new licence fees would save Fitzroy from extinction in the short term. The next issue on Oakley's agenda was the renegotiation of the game's television rights, which had expired at the end of 1986. Channel 7 Melbourne had paid $3.3 million for the rights to telecast the game in '86, but with the national expansion set for 1987, the league naturally expected the next contract to be substantially more lucrative, and they needed it to be. But Seven and its legendary general manager Ron Casey weren't convinced, offering the league the same $3.3 million and marking the battle lines in the process. The league approached the other commercial networks, but 9 and 10 expressed no interest. Oakley and the commissioners suspected an unofficial agreement existed between the networks which prevented them from bidding on each other's sporting properties. A few weeks later, an impatient Casey contacted the league and told them they were taking too long, and he was revising his offer down to a flat $3 million. This was clearly unacceptable to the league, but where else could they go? They decided that given the unsettled state of the Australian television industry at the time, a short-term deal would be best, leaving them open to have another crack at negotiating a year or two down the track. A small Sydney-based company specialising in business and marketing videos named Broadcom suddenly appeared in the picture. They were confident they could package the game around the country, and a deal was quickly struck. The football world was stunned as Ross Oakley made the shock announcement.
With the expanded national competition next year, a shake-up of the VFL's television rights was always on the cards. But in the field of powerful media interests, the successful bid of the Sydney-based television production company Broadcom comes as a surprise. Previously, the VFL received about $3 million a year for the exclusive rights. Under the new deal, the VFL will receive up to the first $24 million of sales over the next 6 years. Any profits above the $24 million will be split equally between the VFL and Broadcom. The chairman of the VFL Commission, Ross Oakley, says the more flexible arrangement should prove a money spinner, but he also acknowledges some risks.
If the television programs aren't worth that much, yes, we could get less. But the whole point is that with an expert like Broadcom producing and packaging our programs and being able to interest sponsors and advertisers and placing those as part of a package, we believe that we're better off going this way because we think the income will be greater than that.
So it's a pretty big risk you are taking?
We're taking part of the risk, yes, certainly.
The basis of the gamble is the expansion of satellite networks such as Sky Channel that might enter the bidding. As well, there's a belief that the VFL could be earning more from overseas sales. Industry sources say the VFL had hoped to be guaranteed between $5 and $8 million a year for the rights. Clearly, the Broadcom deal falls well short of that. As for the ABC, well, there's no certainty we'll be able to telecast the matches next year. But a spokesman in Sydney said this afternoon he was confident the ABC would carry VFL football in some form next year.
And so the next big question was who would be telecasting the footy in 1987. The VFL and Seven eventually returned to the negotiating table and thrashed out an agreement in which Seven would pay $1.5 million for the Victorian rights alone. But just as it looked like the football planets were realigning themselves and footy would appear on Seven as usual, Rupert Murdoch sold the network to the Sydney-based Fairfax Group and the landscape changed again. Casey handing in his resignation in anticipation of the balance of network power shifting to Sydney. A holding pattern was adopted until Fairfax officially took control of Seven Melbourne on March 13 of 1987. The same day, the VFL announced that Seven had withdrawn from their deal and been replaced by the ABC, just 2 short weeks before the season was due to start.
The biggest part of the coup from the fans' viewpoint is that there will be a live telecast, not subject to a sellout, of this year's grand final. That was confirmed yesterday by the VFL. Today we can tell you it will be seen on the ABC. For viewers in southern New South Wales and Victoria, the deal covers replay rights to all games played around Australia on a Friday night, the broadcast to begin at 10 p.m. Replay of the Saturday match of the day in Melbourne to be screened between 5 and 7 p.m. Live coverage of games outside Victoria each Sunday. State of Origin matches played in Perth and Adelaide between Victoria and South Australia and Western Australia will also be covered. And the final series, including the grand final. Through the satellite facilities, New South Wales will be seeing replays of all Swans matches. In the other states, the winners program of 60 minutes of highlights will continue as last year. The agreement with Broadcom on behalf of the VFL was announced today by the ABC's Managing Director, Mr David Hill. He said it was expected improved coverage of football and other sports would help restore the ABC to leadership in sports television. But how much did the deal cost?
We're not saying, but I've no doubts because we're answerable to Parliament. The amount we paid eventually will be publicly known. But suffice to say this, that in terms of viewer hours, it is a very, very cheap product for us.
Now towards the pocket, and look! Oh, what a mark!
Tonight on The Fever, Footy's only talkback TV show. We debate all the day's hot topics.
Shut their mouths and call what they see.
Talk to the game's biggest names, and of course, you can have your say.
White Line Fever with Clinton Gribus. Up next.
The more you explore the benefits of a WA School of Mines degree, the better it gets.
On Foxtel box office this June, Brad, George, Julia and Matt are back. Ocean's 12. He's fat, he's lazy, he's got catitude. Garfield.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Will Ferrell is Ron Burgundy, Anchorman. Renee Zellweger, Colin Firth and Hugh Grant reunite in Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason. Discover the man behind the legend, King Arthur, Director's Cut. The best sound, the best pictures, the best movies. This June on Foxtel Box Office, where movies come first. Experience Foxtel Box Office only on digital.
Join us next time at the cafe when we salute the hallowed halls of AFL. Yes, we're talking footy. I hope you will be too. When Justin Madden comes along, Karen Martini makes a beautiful meat pie, Andrew Blake makes an ultimate sausage roll, and Mike Brady serenades us. Next time on the cafe on the Lifestyle Channel.
This is an ancient technique. It's called power stance. Just go. Yeah, now raise your goblet of rock. It's a toast to those who rock. Now smile and nod your head and let me see your eyeballs wide like there's something wrong. Yeah!
Friday, who can stop the West Coast Eagles Express? Essendon is next in line to tackle the toughest trip of the AFL, but Worsfold's boys are out to prove the West is best. Eagles Bombers, 11:30 Friday on Fox Footy Channel.
Football had been the cornerstone of Seven's identity for the best part of 30 years, but now it was gone, as Broadcom and the ABC hurriedly and desperately tried to piece together an entire national telecast team in literally a matter of days. It was a huge adjustment for footy fans to make. Gone were icons like Lou Richards, Seven's Big League, World of Sport and league teams. It would take some time for the footy-loving public to get their heads around the significant change in long-established viewing habits. And here's our Greek champion from the could-have-been champions saw the shock to the system.
Listen out there, this affects you and me. The VFL sold TV rights to a Sydney company. This flies in the face of all that I was taught. Imagine waking up on Sunday, no more World of Sport. All this tug of war between the different channels. Bon Voyage, Ron Casey, no more Sevens footy panels. Uncle Doug and Jack, they'd already left the ranks. It's the end of Coach's Corner, no more Hutton's footy franks. National League has come, South Australia's had to forfeit, but come on, Auntie, please, won't you bring us back to Morfett? Farewell League teams and the three wise monkeys. I can't see Channel 2 boys reading cooking recipes. Could this be the end of Bobby, Pete and Lou? Still I'm wrapped about the ABC, don't know about you. I guess it's sad to see World of Sport has passed away, but just think there'll be no ad breaks on the Channel 2 replay.
Let's hear it for Greg Champion. What do you reckon? He's a champion. Pretty good. He'll be a regular on the program.
Hogan Carmichael.
Very good events. He's not bad. And good news for World of Sport. It's back. It's going to be on Sports Play's satellite hotel service. And I think that's terrific, and I think most football people would certainly agree with that.
So had Ross Oakley and the VFL Commission dodged a bullet with their 11th hour ABC deal, or was it set to blow up in their face as a sceptical Victorian football world awaited the new telecast team? It had certainly been a gruelling off-season initiation for Ross Oakley, who was still trying to secure a major sponsor for the league on the eve of the new season. Here he is talking with the ABC Footy Show panel on the Thursday night leading into round 1 of 1987.
And what better way to start than with the man who dared enter what Jack Hamilton described as Alcatraz, the office of the VFL's Chief Commissioner. Ross Oakley wasn't the boss when last season ended, but after one off-season in the chair, he knows well the difficulty of his job. Ross, welcome.
Thank you.
First match, less than 24 hours away now, still no sponsor. Difficult job.
Yes, it has been very difficult. I think we may well be able to announce something tomorrow, Tim.
I see.
Ross, another subject. I think probably more thought than anything about the Brisbane Bears is how they'll succeed. Maybe a two-pronged question. Firstly, if you had your time again, would you relocate a team there? Number two, I guess, why haven't they had a bit more support, particularly with things like transfer fees?
Well, I suppose the ideal situation would have been that we could have had a relocation to Brisbane, but the Commission's not in a position to actually relocate a team.
Couldn't you have waited?
Waited and, you mean, introduce the side into Brisbane in future years? Well, I suppose we could have, but who was to guarantee that there'd be a team to transfer next year?
Well, in your Commission's report, you're pretty confident that a couple of clubs are going to go down the chute.
Well, the Commission certainly has said that there is that risk, and there still is that risk. There is a tremendous risk of a club going bankrupt, but we're working very hard at the moment to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Ross, just to get away from that onto television, it's terrific that Channel 2 has taken over the rights here in Victoria. Terrific for them. Whether it's terrific at the game, well, only we, you know, and the effort they put on will prove that point. But I'm really worried about the fact that there's going to be, or from what I understand, there's not going to be any football, VFL football, into New South Wales and Queensland to help the promotional officers of the new clubs there, the Swans and the Bears, and help the game generally. Is that so? And if it is it a real worry?
It's not a worry because there will be football into New South Wales and to Queensland. Very quickly, there was an announcement yesterday that the Saturday games, Match of the Day, will be live into New South Wales on SBS. And your station, the ABC, will in fact be running a replay on Saturday night, I think. There'll also be a number of regional stations running programs as well in the Griffith area. So they'll be covering that very strong Australian rules area in New South Wales. And there are a number of other regional stations that are still being tied up at the moment. In Queensland, there's going to be quite a bit of football. The Saturday game will go live. The Friday night game, I think, is going in delayed. And the Sunday game is going in there as well. And even when the Brisbane Bears are, in fact, playing at Carrara on the Gold Coast, the game will go live to Brisbane.
Ross, with those new football coverages in those states, does the VFL feel there's a great So I suppose justification now, looking in hindsight, that the competition is going national, because with all the changes in television, it seems the national networking is what all the television stations want to do?
Well, it's been very difficult, of course, this year to get into bed with the so-called national network.
But the point being, they're looking for national events to cover.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Lee, and I suppose one of the weaknesses for the VFL is that we're not seen to be yet strong enough in the Sydney market to, in fact, give us that national enthusiasm for the game. But we're working on that, and we'll certainly be doing a lot of work this year on that. But with everything that's happened, we've been delighted with what we've finished with, and particularly the ABC's involvement.
It's been messy, though, with stations all around Australia from various networks involved in threading up to cover the VFL. Is that satisfactory, and is it something that you feel is desirable?
Not necessarily. I'm delighted with the way it's come together, Tim. Yes, it's I suppose it's been a bit messy, but we really had no other option. In fact, the option that we had before Christmas last year was to go with that other network that had football for 3 years at what we thought was not a sufficient contract price. Now, in hindsight, of course, we made a decision at the time not to do that and to go Broadcom, which opened up the options for us and allowed us to negotiate the contracts in each individual state rather than a national contract. Now, in hindsight, if we'd been left 2 weeks ago with Channel 7 wanting to get out of their contract, we would have had to renegotiate all the contracts right round Australia, which would have been impossible to do before the start of the season.
Ross, in hindsight, would you feel that you've given Broadcom a far too generous contract? They look as if they've broken even at least this year. It's for 6 years. They're going to make a lot of money, aren't they?
They're going to lose a lot of money this year, Doug.
Not according to their managing director.
Well, I'm not too sure about that. The deal is very simple. We got $1.3 million up front, and we will get the first $3.5 million of any revenues gained by Broadcom in their negotiations. Now, recognising the fact that the contract that was offered to us by Channel 7 was this year only $3 million, and it was only going to escalate CPI for the next 3 years, we're going to get 1.3 plus the first 3.5 million. Then anything that Broadcom negotiates after that, we will split down the middle. So in fact, Broadcom have got to gross net, I beg your pardon, after costs, have got to net $4.8 million before they even start to participate.
Back to the sponsorship issue, why is it that, I suppose, the most successful and popular domestic sporting competition in the country hasn't got a sponsor 24 hours before kick-off?
Well, there are a lot of reasons for that. Just very quickly, the America's Cup this year pulled something like $40 million out of the sponsorship market, and there are a few companies hurting as a result of that because they backed the loser. We've also got the two breweries pulling out, and I've been through that in the press as to the reasons for them pulling out. They've been spending more and more money in the Australian market and getting less and less sales. They believe that their future is overseas, so their money is going overseas. Apart from that, you've got the Bicentenary coming up next year, and you've also got World Expo coming up next year, and people are saving their coin for that. We're in a bit of a sponsorship black hole at the moment, but there's still good prospects, and most of the clubs are now tied up, as you've noticed during the week. And as I said, I think we'll be able to make an announcement tomorrow.
Why do you need one overall sponsor? Look at the Australian Masters Golf, who have used 6 sponsors, don't give the event to a sponsor to put their name to. The VFL hasn't done that in the past. Why do you want one sponsor in particular?
We don't necessarily, and maybe the announcement tomorrow will show that that's not necessarily a prerequisite.
Salary caps, boss. How far can you go towards proving that clubs are sticking to it? I'm not confident they are, by the way.
Yeah. Well, really, I think the salary cap has worked particularly well this year, Ron. I think it's working probably to about 95, 96%, and if you can do that, I think it's going to be very successful. What we're seeing is...
I'll agree it's a vast improvement, but wait till they start getting money again.
When will that be?
Well, it's going to be in, say, 3 or 4 years' time.
Yeah. Well,
why don't you fine-tune the rules now?
Well, we are looking at fine-tuning the rules, actually. In fact, there's quite an exercise going on at the moment in fine-tuning the rules. But I think the salary cap has worked this year. It certainly has put a lot of pressure on clubs to think long and hard about what they pay their players, and some clubs have had to get rid of players in order to put others on their list, which tends to provide players for the weaker sides, which I think overall for the competition is a good thing. And I think we're going to see a more even competition this year. It's already been demonstrated with Geelong and Melbourne playing a lot better, and I think St Kilda will perform a little better too with the players they've now got.
Well, it's difficult to imagine a more testing introduction to one of the most scrutinised positions in Australia than that which Ross Oakley went through in the late 86 and early 1987 season. History would show the job wouldn't get much easier throughout the duration of his decade-long tenure either, as he guided the league through an era of national expansion, club mergers, ground rationalisation and the bedding in of the competition cornerstones, the draft and the salary cap. Love him or hate him, Ross Oakley didn't care much either way. He was a man determined to do what he thought best for the long-term development of the game, and much of the success of our current national competition can be attributed back to decisions made during that extremely important decade when the game got up off its financial knees. Well, that's it for this edition of Footy Flashbacks. Thanks for your company. Join us again next time when we flash back to decades gone but not forgotten, right here on Fox Footy.
The golden goals.
Oh, what a goal, Brett Johnson!
The great grabs. And the best highlights of every game from every round. Sunday night, join host Jim Wilson for The Winners, 7:30 local on Fox Footy Channel.
My men are strong, but they have need of a true leader. They believe you can do anything.
It is your destiny.
King Arthur, now showing only on Foxtel Box Office.